Okay, welcome to the Stampscapes lab. I'm not quite done with this marble paper yet because I wanted to do a couple other things with it that I just kind of remembered. One was a cave. I thought this marble, being stone, could look good with a cave-like setting because I say cave because you can do any kind of stone structures or something like that. I don't know, a granite peak or something like that. But I usually make my caves out of rock, although a lot of caves are like things like sandstone or just like compact dirt and things like that. But let's do this with the ledge and boulders with lichen. Okay, two very similar designs, but they have different texturing. Just because I like a little bit of variety in my rock forms, when I use just one, it can work. But sometimes it's a little monotonous, so you go for the two different textural types of surfaces. Okay, so let's get this built, and I'll see what I can do with this setting. I was thinking about putting a kind of a figure looking out of the cave, but we'll see. Okay, so what I do is I just start creating this build. What you want to do is you want to overlap slightly, about a quarter to a half inch or so into the previous impression with the one you're working with. And you can have it going straight across. I typically change the angle slightly. Okay, I didn't ink up that side of it very much, but no problem. See that part where it's not inked up very much? I'll just go across here like this. And this whole part is going to cover that up. These designs are made to really blend in with one another. These ledge types of forms, these rock forms like this that are open on three different sides, are some of my best blending images. Okay, let's put another one. If this is going to be a cave, then I'll have another one coming from kind of above like this. Kind of frames off. It gives your scenes, these cave types of scenarios really give your compositions are really good and very natural looking framing structuring device, whatever you want to call it. Okay, now see this one right here? I'm just using a little bit of a strip of it, so maybe a half inch or so. And again, this is going into this previous impression. See, the previous impression probably goes in right around here. But you do that type of overlapping, and you have no problem with it. No problem making it seamless, in other words. Okay, let's mix it up with the ledge here. A little bit more of a smoother type of surface. Which was most of my designs. When I first started doing it, I was into really super smooth forms, and at some point in time I did some other design. Okay, now that boulder is going up right in here. This one is like right around in here. Okay, but it's open on the bottom, so you can overlap like that. Okay, but anyways, I was doing some new designs, and I don't know, I came up with one that was really textural. I think it was grass texture, and it was really rough, but I found that it really blended well, and it had that inherent extra texture in it that was not quite so smooth like this. And I thought it was good. It was a really good complement for the super smooth styles of designs. So I've been going back and forth between that type of textural variety in my designs ever since. These days I want it really super textural, just because when I do it that way I don't have to add in so much extra texturing later on, so it works out really well. Okay, so we have these other rocks right here, and I tell you what, let's go back to this one here and I'll have this one. Now this one's a little bit more dense, so I think I will mask that portion of it off. So we'll mask it over like that, and come in like this. And we'll have it in the rock like that, so we get this one sandwiched right in between like that. I think that makes for a pretty nice slope like that. Let's just leave it like that. I usually close it off a little bit more, and I have this small opening, but let's leave a kind of a larger opening. Could be like a cliff, you know, along the ocean or something like that. It's like a sea cave. And let's do this. I think I have left enough room for my figure here. I don't know for sure, but we'll see. Yeah. We'll put her there. Kind of a spirit of the cave. And she's one of the figures in one of the latest Halloween sets. Although she doesn't have to be kind of spooky, but she can if you put her in kind of a ominous type of setting, because like a cemetery or something like that. Okay, let's see here. I need something in the background here. She needs to be looking at something, or I can put a bunch of bats hanging from the ceiling like that. That might be kind of interesting too. Let me figure out what to put in here. Okay, we are going to do a sea cave. I have the seaside cove small here. We need to do some masking of this ledge here, or whatever you want to call it, the cave opening. Go up like that. I have some of it showing though, so you don't have to do, you don't have to mask off everything. I go about like this. She's kind of a silhouette, so she doesn't have too much kind of open area where I have to mask her off as well. I might have to do a little bit of adjustments later on, but plenty of pressure around your paper towel if that's what you're using to mask off like I am. Like that. And we're going to fill in anything that doesn't kind of stamp out. Okay. Sometimes it doesn't, you know, you're stamping over you know, paper towel. It's not super thick or anything like that, but it does have some volume to it. Okay, now that Seaside Cove ended right there. I can continue this line right out that way, but I tell you what, this is this cave situation, so why don't I just add in a little bit of this extra ledge image. So this is how you just kind of make your adjustments as you go along. All right, so see how that's closed off right there. No problem with that. And I think I have a good image for right in here. I think there's going to be like a sailboat, so it's like someone coming home or something like that. Okay, we have this little sailboat from one of the it's like the cabin, Cozy Cabins night set. Let's do this. Let's put that sailboat right. Trying to think of where I want it. If I want it a little bit off center. Center would be a little bit too center, huh? Let's go about right here. All right. It's like coming home or something like that. Or is this siren, drawing the boat to shore? The rocks, the treacherous rocks, maybe. All right, so let's get this modeled more. We have this whole big marble section patterning going right through here. Let me see. This is this paper right here. So all of this is kind of running right through here. And let's get this a little bit more substantial. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm toning in some of it to make the rocks stand a little bit more forward from the background paper. So right here, I'm kind of closing out that rock right there. And then the rest of it, I'm just going to add in a little bit more tone where there's already tone in the design, okay? So I address the kind of the edge, where the edge meets this background paper a little bit differently. And then the other portions, I just kind of do what's already on the design. So you can see where the designs are a little bit kind of darker in here. Okay, there's this shading. It goes darker to lighter, darker to lighter, darker to lighter right here. And this is dark right here. Darker to lighter like that. I'm just kind of reiterating the shading in here. You can see it on here too. Just darker areas at the base of the rocks and lighter up top. All right, so do that around here. Now this is right next to that water, so I might tone that in, but we'll see. This is just a black colored pencil. Actually, this one's a watercolor pencil that I've been using. I just haven't gotten around to picking up a new black Prismacolor. A new black Prismacolor. I haven't gotten around to picking up a new black Prismacolor in I don't know, it's like 40 years. I just got my Prismacolor sets, and I don't think I've ordered anything else, any colors out of that set. I haven't been using this set for 40 years, though. I don't know, I just started picking up those colored pencil whatever habits the past usages the past few years. I was required, I think, to buy a set of those Prismacolors in college. Although, I don't know, maybe I just bought them just because I wanted them. There used to be this thing called the Tools of the Trade show in Pasadena, which was kind of a retail show for a lot of art suppliers went and sold there. But you'd get some manufacturers there selling their wares. So you'd have everything from, and everything would be like better prices than buying them in the store typically. All right, so just kind of modeling this, and you can see the forms of the rocks becoming a little bit more, I don't know, kind of defined. Then I'll work in the darkest of areas and get those a little bit more modeled. I mean, you can do as much as, as much or as you want. I think the imagery looked, pretty cool as is without all this shading in here, but I really enjoy the process of shading because it's also light that you're defining as well. So the lighting just takes on a different kind of more defined characteristic with this additional shading work. You can get you can increase your contrast. The forms look a little bit more, or a lot more, three-dimensional this way as well. Normally this ledge here would be stamped the other way, but it's one of the few instances where it's like coming from the ceiling, so, or the, I don't know, whatever, the top of the paper. All right, now shall we kind of make a little bit of a, kind of a distinction from kind of horizon line to sky here with a little bit more tone. You can do this right here. I'm kind of coming in like that, leaving some space in between my strokes here. You can kind of, there are areas in the seaside cove that are darker. Okay, there's these little striations in the water. So where you can't see them too well, you can just kind of define them yourself and put them in there like that. There's a lot more whatever distinction between the those waves in the foreground area of that stamp, but on here on top of the marble paper I really can't see anything too distinctly, so I'm just kind of, oops, sorry about that. Let me pause and refocus here. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. But anyways, yeah, a little bit more striations in the water, shading in the water, like that. And then we can, let's see, some of that seaside cove went through her, so there was a line kind of going right through her, so, you know, you can make her a little bit darker and kind of obscure that horizon line that went right through her. She wasn't like 100% black here, so you can make her a little bit darker and obscure that line. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a shadow that she is casting in here. This. That. You're going to want to kind of do it in the arc of the rock, so it's a little bit like rounded, a little bit like that. Okay, a little bit more differentiation between edge of cliff in the background, so I'll darken some in like I did over here. Okay. Some of these rocks right here, we'll go with a little bit of a darker edge. Like that. So it goes from lighter to darker to lighter to darker down here. All right, Something like that. And let's see here. Let's bring in, I think some seagulls or something around here would be good. Let me see if I have that right on my desk here somewhere. Here we go. Is there room for like a quote stamp right here, a word stamp? Let me see. All right. A little experiment with the rocks on this paper. I don't know, maybe I filled up too much with those textures in there to show the paper. But I thought this might be an interesting location for a quote stamp right on that horizon. Plus, there was nothing over there, so let's do something like that. And again, this is what I would probably mat this paper on, just a little bit of a silver perimeter like that. And you get your end result. Kind of a dreamy looking scenario. I can add a little bit of a white pigment ink to it. Well, let's go ahead and do that. Let's see what that might look like. I wasn't sure if I would add anything to it, but you can always add kind of a little tweak to the piece to do that. So let's see. All right, so some of this around in here, maybe we'll obscure that a little bit and make it a little bit lighter. Like this. It's like we're not going to eradicate it, otherwise, you know, what's the point of using that texture? But if I want to push it into the background a little bit, just a touch, and maybe bring some of this soft lighting into my rocks like that, okay? Even in areas that you've darkened in some of it, it can look a little bit different if you put a little white pigment ink over it. How about up here? Let's bring a little bit of this lighting into this impression up top, like that. How about this? Where I've added this other ledge in here. Not legend, but ledge. I can have some of this lighting coming across the rocks. Just like that, it kind of illuminates that a little bit. If I add this right in here, I'm going to be adding it right onto the Seaside Cove, which I don't think I want to do. But let's add a little bit to that sailboat like that. And right in here. So it kind of creates that little bit of a shimmer, doesn't it? Or maybe not shimmer, but glow. Right in there. And maybe we'll add some right around in here. Maybe that makes her stand out just a touch. Yeah. Actually, I do like that. Let me add a little bit right in here. We need a little bit of a variation in here, so I'm bringing some of this mist right into the rocks here. About like that. Now, a lot of times this white pigment ink dries differently. It dries darker looking or more see-through, but I think on this type of paper, you know, kind of what you see is what you're going to get here. So you don't have to kind of overdo the white pigment ink like I normally would on some other types of surfaces. Overdo by like 20% or so. Not like a 200%. Or it's all blobby or something. Okay, but anyways, I think that should do it right there. It's a little bit more variation. Yeah, that glow in there looks pretty good, doesn't it? It almost looks like a glare, like a light glare. Like it's, you know, it's on the silver, but That's not what's happening on here. That's the white pigmenting. So right here, here, here. So you go harder, softer, harder, softer, harder, softer. It's what I'm always talking about, kind of oscillating things, textures, lighting, light, dark, that type of thing. And it just kind of it could make potentially for a nice, rich surface in terms of variation. Okay, so hope you liked the card. Thanks for watching. Thanks as always for tuning into the Stampscapes channel.